everybody, it's Muddy, and I just first and foremost wanted to say thank you to everyone who was a part of my Tarot 101 classes on Zoom. This is going to be a really quick video that kind of recaps everything that you learned in the class in case I went through anything too quickly or in case you weren't able to make the class that you paid for. I wanted to make this video for you guys specifically and just say thank you again for the support and for being a part of this journey that I am on, also to help spread information and knowledge about tarot. So one of the things I talk about in the beginning of all my classes is kind of what tarot is and the goal of the class. And tarot is a method of divination. There are many different forms of divination. Some are scrying, which is staring into a reflective surface. Some are tea leaf readings. Some are rune casting. Some people deal in palmistry, which is, reading the lines on your palms. And this one in particular is called tarot. Tarot is a very structured deck of cards that each have a very specific meaning, and cards are open to interpretation and nobody practices the same exact way, and there is no right or wrong way to practice, but there are kind of general guidelines when it comes to reading tarot, and I just kind of want to help you guys through the structure of tarot itself. So a standard tarot deck has about 78 cards, and they are divided up into two groups: the Major Arcana and the Minor Arcana. And today I'm going to mostly talk about the Minor Arcana because I have done a video in the past on just the majors. There are 22 Major Arcana cards and 56 Minor Arcana cards. And the Major Arcanas are all about spiritual lessons and growth in your life. It represents the path to awareness. So essentially you're following, the very first Major Arcana card is the Fool, and it's kind of the Fool's journey through life and different big core lessons that he learns throughout his lifetime. It really just depicts various stages of life that we encounter. The Minor Arcana, which are 56 cards, they represent the daily trials and tribulations that we go through. These are things that we experience on a daily basis, and they have a more temporary influence. Within the Minor Arcana, there are 16 court cards, and those are generally kings, queens, pages, and knights. Kings represent the element of air, queens represent the element of water, knights represent fire, and pages represent earth. The 16 court cards, because there's 4 different suits of the Minor Arcana and 4 different court cards, so 4 times 4, you get 16. Those are 16 personality characteristics that you can find in yourself and in others. The 1 through 10 are called the suit cards, and those represent where we currently are or what we need to consider in any given situation. So as I mentioned, the Minor Arcana are divided up into 4 different suits, and I kind of view these suits as like a 4-pronged ladder. So I'm going to start at the bottom of the ladder and work my way up. So the suit at the very bottom of the ladder is called the Pentacles. Some people will call them coins. These represent the material realm and correlate to the element of earth. So this is your physical realm. This represents stuff like health, finance, your job, your career, your home. In a regular deck of cards, this correlates to the suit of diamonds. This deals with your ego, your self-esteem, and your self-image. Positive traits of pentacles are like manifestation, realization, prosperity. And then some of the negative traits of the suit of pentacles are like possessiveness, greediness, overindulging in certain vices or physical things in the world, and whether or not you're being overly materialistic. If you move up from the earth up to the next prong, you're in your emotional realm, and this is represented by the suit of cups. Cups also correlate to the element of water, and in a regular deck of cards, it correlates to the suit of hearts. This deals with love, feelings, relationships, cleansing. And some positive traits of the suit of cups are fantasy and imagination. And some negative traits include whether or not you're being overly emotional or completely disengaged, whether or not you're setting unrealistic expectations for yourself, and whether or not you're having an inability to express yourself. If you move up from the emotional realm, you'll find yourself in the mental realm, and this correlates to the suit of swords, and swords correlate to the element of air. This represents things that are unseen but constantly changing. You have to think about your thoughts. Your thoughts are unseen, but your mind is constantly moving. In a regular deck of cards, this correlates to the suit of spades. So swords deal in your mental realm, and they can be a little tricky. This represents your thoughts, attitudes, beliefs, knowledge, action, power, and change. They can be a tricky balance between intellect and power. Positive traits of the swords are logic, communication, and analysis. And then negative traits of the suit of swords are harsh judgment, lack of compassion, mental abuse, and rigidity. I personally used to really struggle with the suit of cups because I was not very in touch with my emotions. I would encounter a situation or a problem in my life, and I would immediately move up to my mental realm and say, how do I think through this? Let me analyze this situation. Let me problem solve. What are the steps that I need to take? And I would do everything so in my mind that I forgot to take into account my own emotions. And eventually my emotions were like, excuse me, you can't ignore me. And they made themselves so loud that I had no other choice to ignore them. And then I developed panic disorder and panic attacks and huge anxiety because I was constantly trying to ignore my emotions rather than acknowledge them. Within magic, a good magician becomes a master of themselves. And to become a master of yourself, you have to have all four of these traits in alignment with each other. So I was not really being a master of myself when I ignored my emotions and just tried to problem solve everything in my head. What I really could have done to be a master of myself at the time would be to consider my emotions along with my mental state and my logic and my analysis and my thinking, and take my emotions into account when going about solving my problems. The next step up from your mental realm is up here. You live up here, and this is your archetypal realm. This correlates to the suit of wands and the element of fire. And in a regular deck of cards, this is the suit of clubs. Your archetypal realm deals with your drive and your will and your structure. This is like a really primal energy that you're dealing with. It's your spirituality, your intuition, your ambition, and your passion. Wands are really asking you what's at the core of you and what roles are you playing in your life. Negative aspects of wands include illusion, ego, lack of direction in your life, and the feeling that life can be meaningless sometimes. Wands are really calling on you and to ask what your greater purpose is. I think something that's really important and what's helped me be able to read tarot a little bit more intuitively, without guidebooks or reaching for the internet every single time I get a card, is to remember the elemental symbols that correlate to each different suit. Because pentacles deal with the element of earth, I think about tangible things and my house, my home, my career, my money situation. That all makes sense to me, and it helps it be easier for me to remember when I think about the element of earth and what's on the earth. It's what am I manifesting in my life that's tangible and physical. Cups correlate with the element of water, which is easy for me to remember because you can hold water in a cup, and water correlating with emotions is also easy for me because I think about tears. I literally think about a cup full of tears. So cups, water, emotions, how am I feeling? How are they feeling? What's going on in the emotional realm? The way that I remember swords correlating with the element of air is that if I whoosh a sword through the air, it's like a whooshing sound, And so I always think about just slinging a sword around and hearing the whooshing noise of air. I think about swords being related to the mental realm because I like to think that my mind is sharp like a sword. Wands correlating to the archetypal realm or the element of fire. The way that I remember them personally is that wands are made of wood and you can catch wood on fire. I also think about a magician holding its wand and kind of structuring its life the way that they want it to be. So I think of wands, I think of structure, I think of roles that I'm playing and structuring myself. One of the things that I think is also really important when you're learning to do tarot is that there is no perfect spread that you have to do every time. I think it's really beneficial to go on the internet and look up example spreads that you can use, but I want people to remember that they're allowed to play it by ear too. Like, for example, sometimes I'll think of a question or I'll have an intention or something that I want insight into my life before I lay down a card. And I'll lay down a couple cards with an intention for every card when I lay it down, and I'll look at it. And then sometimes, say if I lay down a card and I say, all right, what is going to hold me back from reaching this future goal? And I lay down a card with that intention and it gives me something. Say I'm not entirely clear on what that card is trying to tell me, I'll just ask for more information and I'll put down another card on top of it and I'll be like, oh, okay, maybe this makes a little bit more sense and I see how it relates to this first one that I drew and I can get something out of it then. So don't be scared to lay down more cards. Don't be scared to fill up your entire floor with cards and, really just read intuitively. If you're not entirely clear on something, you can ask for more information and that's totally fine. Just make sure that you have an intention before you lay the card down so that you know exactly kind of what you're looking at. As far as the 1 through 10 cards, those kind of represent their own little process too. So let's say the Ace of Cups, right? So that's like a very beginning spark of a feeling. In a deck that I really like to use, it's called the Prisma deck. I'll show you the imagery on it. This deck was really cool for me because when I lined up all of the minor arcanas, I could see how they painted a bigger picture, and I just kind of want to share that with you. And maybe it'll help you get some insight as to how they all flow together. So for example, Ace of Cups. Say there's a beginning emotion, a spark of an emotion. 2 would be putting that into action. So here are 2 people in a stream together having a chat, and then it moves on into 3 people dancing together. They're in this very joyous realm. They're in the height of a good positive emotion. Everything's going really well. Then you go up the hill and you see, this is the 4 of chalices now, the 4 of cups, and you see this boy, he's looking back over this good time, he's reflecting on it, he's trying to figure out what was positive and what was negative about this situation. And then if you go up the hill even further, you see his silhouette dropping cups down into the water, he's dropping his emotions, he's letting go of things, he's letting go of heavy emotions that he was experiencing over here in 4. And then it moves on again and it just keeps going. So this particular tarot deck was really cool for me when I got it because it was one of the ones that helped me see the correlation in the minor arcana from 1 to 10 and then even from 10 up. I think what's really important is, okay, so I heard this myth that says that you can't buy your own tarot decks or you can't buy your first tarot deck and that it has to be gifted to you. But I want to kind of dispel that myth a little bit. I think that it's actually really important for you to go seek out a tarot deck that resonates well with you. How are you supposed to get good interpretations of cards and follow your intuition if there's imagery that you don't resonate with? For example, the very first tarot deck that I ever got was a classic Rider-Waite deck, and for me, it didn't resonate with me at all, and it almost turned me off of tarot completely initially because I did not see any people in those cards that looked like me, so I couldn't resonate with them, and that's not important to some people, but it was really important to me, and so I started looking into decks that had more people of color or more nature themes or no people at all. So I just want to really encourage you guys to shop around for your first tarot deck. Really find imagery that you get something out of and that kind of touches you, like the art makes you feel something, because that's how you're going to get the most intuitive readings moving forward. This pretty much concludes the overall gist of what was taught in my Tarot 101 Zoom class. if you, I did open up the last like 10 minutes of the class to discussion and questions and answering questions for you guys and talking amongst each other and everything. But I really encourage you guys, if you do have any further questions, to leave them in the comments below. I will totally answer them. Reach out to me on Instagram or TikTok or wherever it is that you feel the most comfortable. I will be happy to answer questions for you, and I'm so excited about your tarot journey and all the intuition and insight that you are going to get through becoming familiar with tarot. And I look forward to seeing you guys in future classes. I look forward to making future videos here on YouTube about it, and I hope that you all have a beautiful night or day, whenever it is that you're watching. And thank you so much for being here, and yeah, I'll see you guys soon in the next one.